start with a chat about relegation. Let's hear from some fans who are probably finding life quite tough at the moment.
We can't afford to just give away 3 points, especially at the start of the season with us being in the relegation zone. It's a very costly time to give away points. It's so bad. We need to improve, Town. Come on. Where was the spirit in that team today?
A point on the road for Newcastle, which is much better from last week against Brighton where we dropped points, but lacking a killer instinct going forwards. Muto, Perez, not good enough for me. Rondon was a little bit better, but it looks like it's going to be between us and Southampton and about 4 of the clubs to see who is going to stay in this division.
I know we're only 10 games in and there is plenty left to play, but 5 points from them 10 games is not the return that Fulham will have been looking for, given the outlay spent in the summer on new faces. I think Jokanovic will be given time, given his track record and the fact that Jokanovic teams tend to do better in the second half of seasons, but shipping this many goals, even with a better defensive display today, is obviously a huge concern. Huddersfield next up becomes a must-win, and if we lose that, I think Jokanovic will probably walk.
What a game that's set to be.
So we're back with the review a couple of hours after the game now. Kind of been thinking about how the game's gone about. We'll start with the team lineups. It was an unchanged side from the game against Brighton. There was rumours that Rondon was going to be selected ahead of either Perez or Muto, but didn't get selected. So it was the same old. It was limited chances, no killer instinct, but we're kind of running out of ideas. But if Rondon's only fit to go on the bench, then it wasn't probably the right time to play 60 minutes, 70 minutes. You're going into the game, Southampton were the better team in the first half. They had chances. Bertrand plays a lovely ball and Lemina comes at the front post and hits the post itself. Dubravka's made a couple of good saves. He was probably our best player today. I would probably say he was our man of the match today. In terms of Newcastle, there was no threat. Really was no threat. Probably the best chance we had was from a corner in which Muto got on the end of it in the end from after a scramble in the box, in which it was a turn rather than a shot. It dragged wide. It was probably the closest we've got. I'm really struggling to describe how bad our best chance was. But Southampton probably went in half time thinking that if they get the first goal, they win the game, because we honestly didn't look like scoring today. Second half, it takes to the 53rd minute until Shelvey gets our first shot of any intent, but it goes way over the crossbar. Nothing on target. No shots on target from Newcastle in the whole game. Really, really poor today in that sense. But in the second half, we bring on Rondon, we bring on Key, we bring on Atsu, 3 of our most attacking players, if you take away Hosselu. And we looked a little bit better, we looked a little bit more threatening. But again, Southampton were more likely going to score. They had a really big chance right at the end. Shane Long coming on for Southampton. They had Shane Long on, they had Danny Ings on, who was a real threat throughout the whole game. Ings was trying to make things, and especially in the first half, but couldn't really get on the end of it. But Shane Long was literally in about 8 yards out in the 89th minute with a shot on goal, and it goes well wide. Well, just wide of the post, I should say. But a real let-off for us, but a big opportunity for Southampton. Let's see what Rafa has to say about the whole game.
We have to consider where we are and where they are. They needed to win. They were pushing really hard, especially in the second half, and we have to defend. We couldn't play the counter-attack that we wanted, but I have to take the positives today. So to get a point here, a clean sheet, when we are in a difficult situation, I think is positive. Yeah, in terms of work rate and team spirit, we cannot complain about that. We have to improve a little bit on the ball, because you could see both teams, we were a little bit anxious part of the game. That is the key when you want to create something, especially away when they are pushing and pushing. You have to be a little bit better on the ball, and then you can go through and then create something in counter-attack.
So we've got a point away from home, a big point away from home. It was more important that we didn't lose the game, but people will be saying, where's this first win going to come, and isn't it going to come in the next 2 weeks? We've got 2 home games on the bounce now against Watford and Bournemouth. We really need to get something on. We need to really get our first win out of these 2 games. If we don't get any wins out of these next 2 games, we're in real trouble. I think there's going to be 6 teams battling for relegation. I think it'll be ourselves, Southampton, Crystal Palace, and then you've got Cardiff, Fulham and Huddersfield. I think whoever wins the games between those 6 teams will stay in the division, because you look at the top 6, if you get anything then they're bonus points, and some of the teams in the bottom half, we have to make sure that we can get points from them unless other teams slip up against them. But we need to capitalise by getting, I would like to say, 4 points for the next 2 games. I think that's doable if we can get that first win against Watford, which I know is going to be difficult because they've come off with another win, another big win as well. Yes, against Huddersfield, but still another win on the bounce. Let's see what I'd like to hear what you think in the comments. Who would you think was the man of the match? How many points do we Newcastle really need for the next 2 games against Watford and Bournemouth? Do we need at least 4 points? Can you see us winning a game? And what do we also make about the boycott rumours? Now, the Magpie Group, I'll just touch on this a little bit. The Magpie Group have released the events that they'd like to do from now till when we play Liverpool on Boxing Day. I have to admit I agree with most of the majority of the ideas that come across. I think we should boycott the game against Wolves. I think we should come in the 11th minute against West Ham. It's just the away games against Everton and Liverpool, I'm not 100% sure we should be trying to make a protest out of Sports Direct. I just don't think that'll do any impact. We'd like to see what your opinion is on that as well, because I think that'd be really interesting. Do you agree? Should we be having a boycott? Is that going to get the message sent out? Mike Ashley, who was at the game as well today, didn't look interested. It wasn't the best game to be interested about, but does it show that he cares? Does it show it's too little too late? It'd be interesting to get your points of view across.